Hi folks, so I wanted to post some instructions about this new website that I've mentioned called Knowledgehook. And starting today, I'm posting the first little assignment for you through Knowledgehook. And it's a website where you'll be able to attempt questions very similar to the questions that I've assigned in homework, but it's in more of a multiple choice format, and you'll be able to get some extra help and hints and video lessons and things through this website if you're struggling with specific questions. So I'm just going to walk you through how you can get yourself signed up. It's actually really simple. It's an easy website to use, and it can be kept completely confidential, so they don't even need to save any of your official school email information or anything like that when you sign up. But I just need you to really carefully follow along with these instructions to get yourself signed up. And then once you're in, you'll be able to use a little password to get yourself in any new time you want to access some of this stuff. So you join similar, first of all, to the way you would join a Google Classroom with a classroom code. And instead of going to the general website for all of Knowledgehook, you're going to go to a very specific website. Just, and you can see I've already accessed it before, joinkh.com. So that's not all of Knowledgehook. That's just the specific version of the site that will allow you to join a class. So that's what you're going to go to first. So don't just Google Knowledgehook or anything like that at the start. Specifically type in joinkh.com and go exactly to that website. When you put that in, my computer's just taking a second, you're going to be asked for a class code. And I'll post all these instructions. You should see them now in Classroom. But our class code is SOY6353. And when you hit enter, it's going to ask you either to create an account or to sign in with Google. Now this is important. The school board has asked us not to use any of your Google account school information to sign up for any outside websites like this. So the nice thing about Knowledgehook is it doesn't require you to. You can easily just create your own account. And in fact, to keep it private and secure, they do ask for your first name, and that's important so that I can identify you, and your last initial, again, so that I can identify you when I see your name on my class list. But they don't want to take your last name so that they can keep it as secure as possible. So I'm going to put my name in case you guys didn't know. I'm Dan. So I'm just Dan D for all purposes here. And then when I hit continue, because that will be sort of like my username, I also, of course, need some sort of password. And I'm going to be deleting this student after I make all this anyway, so I might as well just show you. You can view your password if you need to. I'm just doing KCI Math. I've done it correctly. It's going to be really important, of course, that you remember what your username was. So it should just be your first name and last initial, and what your password is, of course. And they want you to choose a little avatar to take through all these adventures with you. So I'm just going to choose that little robot guy. And then I just hit join. So it's stuck my pieces together, and it's given me a username just based on that. So my official username is just Dan D. That'll likely be what yours is as well, just the name that you provided. But if they already had a similar name registered as an account, they might just put a number attached to it. So it's really important that you just remember that username, write it down somewhere as it says, and your password, of course. And then I'll show you after how you'll be able to get back into this the next time you maybe want to sign up. Might also ask you, depending on what you're accessing this from, whether you're doing this from home or school. Depending on what device you're using, though, it may actually just skip this step. And I will say in general, some of these things that I'm about to show you, if you're accessing this from a phone, because it does work well on phones and iPads, they might look a little bit different on different devices, but all of the same stuff will be there, maybe just in a slightly different location. Once you're in, though, there's a whole bunch of stuff towards the top of the page that's not so important. I don't need you to really worry about all of that stuff, but you'll get a sense of it as you start going through these, the way that it's tracking your achievements and tracking some of your points. And it'll really just be stuff that I can track. But what I'm actually tracking is this down here. And this is where you're going to start to see missions posted. And missions are essentially like little homework assignments, but I'm going to use them as sort of like final quizzes at the end of each unit. So because our similar triangles unit was really quick, and it was only those 3 lessons last week and we're all done, today, instead of doing a new lesson, I just want you to get signed up for this website and go through this first mission. So I've just clicked on it here. And it's actually just broken up into 4 chunks. And each of the 4 chunks, you can see it has 3 little stars because each of the 4 chunks has 3 questions. So the whole thing in total is going to be 12 questions for you. And each time you finish a set of 3, it's going to check off and keep track using these little indicators here, what you've completed so far. I click on the number 1 to get started. There we go. And then I just hit continue. And what it actually starts with, and this is kind of nice, is a little example. So hopefully the lessons that we went through were helpful for you, and hopefully you're getting enough examples from the things that I've posted. But they give you another example as well, where they produce a question similar to the ones you're going to face. And they even give you a quick little video to show you how it's done. You're welcome to watch through that if you find it helpful, and you can even let them know if you find it helpful or not, because they love gathering feedback from students to try and make the website better. If you're just curious though what's the answer to this question, you don't want to watch the whole video, you can just hit show solution. And now when I scroll back up, the whole written solution is in there right after the question. But you can see that explained in the video if you want. If you don't need any of that though, then just skip it. Continue to the question. And here is the first question that we're trying to solve. So if this is the question that I'm given here, well, we're trying to find the length of side A, and I'm just going to sort of jump ahead and help you with this first one. You actually, when you do this, may get a very similar but slightly different question with slightly different numbers. But even if you happen to get this exact same one, then I'll just help you with this one so I can show you what happens. The answer, I believe, if we're doing this correctly, is that side A would be 5 centimeters. And so if I was to click on that and hit that I selected that answer, it would just say correct, and it would move on to the next question, and it would keep track that I got that correct. I'm going to intentionally put some wrong answers in though, and just let you see what happens. So let's say 4 centimeters. And first time it just says not quite, so try again. Now, obviously the more times I do this, it's going to get easier and easier because it's a process of elimination. But it will actually let you at least guess one more time. And then after an incorrect guess a second time, like maybe this one, it's going to say, well, keep trying, and it'll actually give you an opportunity to. So if you're really frustrated, and if you want to just move on to the next question and see how that goes, you can hit continue. But if you want to retry, instead of giving you the exact same question, because it would have obviously the exact same answers, they're going to give you one that's very similar. So here's one. You can see the triangles are set up very similar. The question's being asked in the same way. The only difference is the numbers involved are slightly different. So it's giving you a brand new opportunity to try this all over again. Beyond that, while you're doing the question, if you're a little bit stuck, down below the question, you'll always see a spot for a hint. Might not always be incredibly helpful to you, but in some small cases, it might be just a little reminder that you need to get yourself on track. And if you ever want to backtrack to that example that we talked about before we even started all this, you can always click that and it'll take you back to that example page where you can go back through and then continue back to the question when you feel that you're ready. So all of that will allow you to just work through these missions at your own pace. And at any point, if you want to duck out of the mission because you have other stuff you have to do, you can just scroll down to the bottom and exit that way. That's going to take you back to the main page here. And you can always keep track of what missions you've done using some of these main pages. So what I'll also just point out then is how we can also use this once we've closed it down. So if I close this whole thing down and I want to get myself signed back up, let's open up a new tab here. So now, instead of going to joinkh.com, now I've already signed up. Once you've already signed up, now you can just go to the regular Knowledgehook website. And so if you want, you can just literally Google Knowledgehook. And that is where knowledgehook.com, the regular Knowledgehook website, will come up first. I'll also post a link to it in Classroom as well. And here, along the top, you'll see a spot to sign in or log in. Let this know that you're logging in as a student. I just need to always remember what my class code is. That's always going to be the same, and it'll be posted with all this information in Classroom. It's going to ask me again where I'm playing from. And in this case, even though I was trying to get it to forget my information, but it looks like it did save my information. So you can see it automatically logged me back in because it remembered my username and my password. But just in case it didn't, it may ask you for your username and password again. And that's why it's really important to just keep track of that. So remember, At any point, you don't need to log in or register using an actual Google account. You can just create, essentially, it's like a temporary account that you're just creating here in Knowledgehook that we're going to use for the next few weeks and months, or as long as we need to. And as long as you know what your username and password are, then they don't need to take any other information from you at all. We'll take a little go at this for the first time around. We're going to move on to regular lessons in the new unit starting on Wednesday, but see how you do with this. Let me know if you're having any issues with it, if you're having any problems, and hopefully I can help from there.